He invited his ex-wife to our wedding. I found out through lingerie photos. And the video. And the stranger who knew everything. By the time I uncovered the lie, the invitations were already sent. Now I know why he proposed. It wasn't even about me. Wait until you see what he left at her apartment. I am supposed to get married to my fiancé Ethan in about 2 months. Everything was going fine until last week when he said something that felt like a slap in the face. We were sitting on the couch going over our final guest list and I noticed he kept hesitating on one line. I asked him what was up and he suddenly goes, "Oh, I was thinking of adding Rachel to the list." I had no idea who Rachel was. I thought maybe it was a cousin or something, so I asked Rachel who. And that's when he says, as casually as if he were naming someone from work, "Rachel, my ex-wife." I thought he was joking. I laughed like a nervous half-laugh and said, "Okay, but seriously, who's Rachel?" And he just looked at me. Dead serious. Calm as anything. Like he didn't just drop a bomb. He said, "No, I mean it. I want to invite Rachel. It would mean a lot to me if she were there." Now, I'm not someone who gets possessive or weird about exes. I get it, people have pasts. I knew Ethan had been married before. He told me they were young and grew apart. I was fine with it. But he never brought her up after that. Not even once in the past year and a half of us being together. So I asked him, "Why would your ex-wife come to our wedding? That's not normal." And this man looks at me like I'm the one being irrational. Like I just kicked his dog or insulted his grandmother. He says, "We're still close. She's important to me. We don't have a romantic relationship anymore, but we have history. She supported me when no one else did." I sat there stunned. It felt like the room was spinning. My first instinct was to say no. I mean, who does this? But Ethan kept pushing. He said, "You've met my mom once. Rachel's practically family." I didn't even know what to say. I asked him flat out, "Are you still in love with her?" He got defensive and said, "No, of course not. I'm with you, aren't I?" Then he went off about how I need to be secure in our relationship and not create drama over nothing. But here's the thing. He didn't say it like someone who was trying to comfort me. He said it like someone who was trying to shut me down. Like he was the victim. Like I was being unreasonable for not wanting his ex-wife at our wedding. I told him it made me uncomfortable that I didn't know her and that our wedding was supposed to be about us, not his past. And he goes, "It's just a party. Don't make it a big deal." I couldn't believe it. I said, "If it's just a party, then why is it so important to you that she is there?" That's when he got quiet. I mean dead quiet. Then he changed the subject like nothing happened. Said we'll revisit the guest list later. I wish that was the worst of it. I really do. 3 days later, his phone lit up while he was in the shower. I wasn't snooping. I was grabbing laundry. But the notification popped up and said, "Rach Red Heart, got the dress. Sending you pics later, winking face." I froze. I stared at that little red heart like it punched me in the throat. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I opened the message. There were 3 photos. Not of a dress, but of her. In lingerie. In his favorite color. She was posing. Laughing. And then there was a voice note. I didn't listen to it. I didn't need to. I dropped the phone on the bed and just walked out of the apartment. I didn't even grab my shoes. I just walked barefoot down the stairs, shaking. I stayed at my friend Megan's for the night. Ethan called like 8 times and then texted, "What's going on? Where are you?" I didn't answer until the next morning. I sent him one text, "We need to talk. And if you lie to me, we're done." He showed up at Megan's place like he was confused why I was upset. He acted like I had violated his privacy. Said I shouldn't have looked at his phone. That I was invading trust. I just stared at him dead in the eyes and said, "So you're still sleeping with her?" And this man. I swear to God. He looked offended. He goes, "No. We're not sleeping together. We're just flirty. That's our dynamic. We've always been like that." Like it was some quirk. Like some people play board games and others just emotionally cheat on their fiancés. He said, "She's a part of my life, okay? If you can't accept that, I don't know what to tell you." So I asked him, "Do you even want to marry me? Or are you just trying to prove something to her?" He couldn't answer. He just sat there. Quiet. Then said, "I don't want to lose you." I told him, then cut her off. And that's when he said it. "I can't." When he said, "I can't," I felt something in me snap. I'd expected anger, maybe a weak denial, something. But that flat, quiet "I can't" hit harder than anything else. No apology. No attempt to fix it. Just a sentence like he had no other option. I asked, "What do you mean you can't cut her off?" He rubbed his face and looked anywhere but at me. Then with this tired sigh, like I was the one pushing him too far, he said, "Because she's going through a hard time, okay? Her dog just died, she's been depressed, and I promised I'd be there for her." Her dog. I swear I had to double check I heard that right. So I just said, her dog? Are you seriously telling me you're emotionally cheating on me because she's sad about her dog? And he goes, you don't understand. She's not just some ex. She's my best friend. I almost laughed. Almost. I asked him if he'd ever told me that before. That his best friend was his ex-wife. That he still had a pet name for her in his phone. That he was getting lingerie photos from her while planning our wedding. You know what he said? It's not like that. You're twisting things. It's harmless. We have boundaries. Boundaries? Where? In what world does boundaries mean cuddly messages and spicy photos from someone you used to sleep with? So I told him, I'm not marrying you until she's out of your life. That's when things got messy. He stood up, paced the room, started ranting. I can't believe you're giving me ultimatums. This is exactly why Rachel and I didn't work. She never tried to control me. We had mutual respect. I just stared at him. You mean the same woman who just sent you 3 lingerie selfies before my wedding shower? He didn't answer. He just kept going. I feel like I'm being ambushed. I thought you were different. I didn't expect this kind of insecurity from you. Insecurity. Right there. That word. That little dagger guys like him used to flip everything and make it your fault. So I grabbed my bag, turned to Megan and said, I'll be back later. I'm going for a walk. And I left him there. Alone. When I got back later that night, he was gone. There was a long note left on the coffee table. It wasn't handwritten. It was typed, printed, and signed. Like he was proud of it or something. Like it was an official statement. Here's what it said. I need some time to think. I don't like the person you became today. I don't know if you're the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. If you loved me, you trust me. Rachel's not a threat. You made this a problem by making it about power. I hope you can reflect on that. I read it 3 times. Then I folded it, shoved it in my purse, and sat on the couch in silence. Megan didn't say anything, just brought me a glass of wine and let me sit there. The next morning, I did what I probably should have done months ago. I called his sister. Emma and I were close. She always seemed a bit wary when we got engaged. Now I knew why. She didn't even sound surprised when I told her about the texts and photos. She sighed and said I was hoping he grew out of it. Grew out of what? I asked. Turns out this wasn't the first time. Not even the second. Apparently when Ethan and Rachel were married, he was the one still talking to his ex-girlfriend from college. Flirty texts, secret calls, one borderline emotional affair that Rachel caught and forgave. Then when they split, he never cut Rachel off either. He always had one foot stuck in the past. Emma told me he needs constant validation. Rachel gives it to him when he feels ignored. It's like emotional ping pong. You're the next table. I hung up the call feeling sick. But it didn't stop there. Because that night, Rachel texted me. Yeah. She messaged me on Instagram like we were long-lost friends. Said she wanted to clear the air. Her message said, Hey, I know this is awkward, but I really hope this doesn't blow up your wedding. Ethan's a good guy. He just has a soft spot for people he's been close to. I didn't mean to make things weird. He told me you were cool with us being friends. But I get it. Weddings are stressful. Hope it all works out, 2 hearts. She ended it with a freaking heart emoji. That was the final straw. I screenshotted her message. Then I screenshotted his texts and the photos. I sent them all back to him with one line. You wanted me to reflect. I did. I'm done. You'd think that would be the end, right? No. Because the next day he shows up at my job. I work at a local gallery. Public place. Open hours. He came in all apologetic, holding flowers like we were in a rom-com. He made a whole scene. Told my coworkers he just wanted 5 minutes to apologize to the love of his life. I pulled him into the back room and said, You've got 1 minute. That's when the waterworks started. Full performance. He was sorry. He was stupid. He didn't mean for it to go that far. Rachel was manipulating him. He didn't even want the photos. She just sent them. He said he deleted them. He said she meant nothing. Then, as if he was offering me a ring again, he said, I told her she can't come to the wedding. I stared at him. Why did that take so long? I asked. He didn't have an answer. Just said, because I wanted to do the right thing. I'm doing it now. After Ethan's little performance at my job, things went quiet. Too quiet. He didn't text again for 2 days. No calls. No social media stalking. I started thinking maybe he got the message and would just slink off into the mist like the confused man-child he was. But nah. That would have been too easy. Instead, he sent out new save the dates. Behind my back. I found out when my own cousin texted me a picture of one. Hey, this looks amazing. Can't wait to celebrate you too. Attached was a shiny new digital invite with a gold banner that read, Ethan and Brianna's celebration of love engagement party. The date was in 2 weeks. Venue, his buddy's lake house. RSVP link included. I hadn't approved any of this. We were not speaking. There was no engagement party on my calendar. I thought it was a prank. I called him furious. He picked up on the first ring. I figured we needed something fun to shake the tension off, he said. You're not serious. He goes, you said you wanted to move forward. I'm showing you that I'm committed. We're not even together right now. Exactly. That's why we need this. I hung up. I didn't go. Obviously. But that party happened. And here's where it gets weird. I got tagged in a Facebook video the next day. The caption read, Nothing like seeing true love fight for itself #relationship goals. It was Ethan, holding a mic, at the front of a crowd of about 30 people on a lawn. The camera was shaky but you could hear every word. He was drunk. Like barely standing drunk. I know things got messy, he slurred. But real love, it ain't perfect, right? It's messy. It's wild. It's real. I love you, Brie. And I know you're watching this. Everyone here's gonna tell you I meant every word. Then the crowd clapped. And that's when she stepped into the frame. Rachel. Wearing white. Not just white, a wedding dress. You could hear people murmuring. Then Ethan turned to her, blinked a few times, and mumbled, You look beautiful. She smiled. Walked up to him. Kissed his cheek. Someone yelled, Just marry her again. And someone else, drunk voice, shouted, Three's a crowd bureau. It was chaos. I shut the video off and stared at the wall for a full 5 minutes. Then I noticed a comment under the post. From a random account with no profile pic. Just a single line. Ask Ethan about Eliza. At first I thought it was spam. But something about it gave me a chill. Like it was meant for me. So I clicked the account. It was empty. 0 posts. 0 friends. Just made a week ago. I asked Megan if she'd ever heard that name. Eliza. She looked up from her phone and said, You mean his old high school girlfriend? What? Yeah. He had this girl he was obsessed with in senior year. He brought her up once. Said she moved away, broke his heart. I didn't think much of it until the next day when I got an email from a burner address. Subject line, You don't know him. The body said, Hi. I'm not trying to ruin your life. I just want you to see what he does to women. I was with him. Right after Rachel. While they were separated. He told me he wanted to marry me. Said I was the first person who understood him. Then ghosted me the week we were supposed to move in together. Ask him about March 2019. Ask him what happened in Colorado. If he lies, I'll send you the proof. Eliza. I nearly dropped my phone. I forwarded the email to Megan and asked her to come over immediately. While I waited, I searched Ethan March 2019 Colorado in my Gmail. Sure enough, there it was, an old forwarded flight confirmation from his sister. He told me he went to Colorado that month for a solo ski retreat to reset. I believed him at the time. But now? Now I wasn't so sure. Megan arrived, read the email, and said, You need to call his sister again. So I did. Emma picked up on the second ring. I'm sorry to keep dragging you into this, I said. But I need to know the truth. Did Ethan go to Colorado alone in 2019? Dead silence. Then a sigh. No, she said. He went with someone. A girl he was seeing. She was a bit intense. Thought they were getting engaged. Eliza? Yeah. You talked to her. I told her about the email. Emma didn't sound surprised. Look, she said, I didn't want to say anything before, but Ethan's always had backup plans. He never fully leaves one woman before he starts lining up the next. I hung up and just sat there. This man I thought I'd spend my life with, he was a collector. Of attention. Of affection. Of options. He didn't want love. He wanted an audience. That night I got another email. From Eliza. He'll reach out again. He always does. Be careful. P.S. You're not the first bride he tried to guilt into inviting an ex. Rachel wasn't the first. I was. After I got Eliza's second email, Rachel wasn't the first. I was. I didn't sleep. Not 1 minute. I stayed up rereading everything. Her messages. That video of Ethan's drunken lake house speech. My own texts with him. I was looking for a reason. Any reason. A moment I missed. A red flag I didn't see. But it all started lining up. Ethan had a pattern. He wasn't just messy or emotional. He was calculating. He always kept one woman on deck. The only reason I hadn't seen it before? I was the woman on deck last time. He kept me around while clinging to Rachel. He proposed when Rachel finally started dating someone new. Now he wanted Rachel back because I started pulling away. It wasn't love. It was ego management. But I still didn't fully understand the level of manipulation until the morning after I emailed Eliza back. Because that's when I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I picked up. Brianna? It's Rachel. I froze. How did you get my number? She ignored that. Her voice was shaking. I didn't know he was lying to both of us. That got my attention. She said, "Can we meet? Please. I'll explain everything." We met at a coffee shop near my place. I sat at the far end, back to the wall, fully ready to walk out if she tried anything weird. But when she showed up, she looked like hell. Eyes red, no makeup, hoodie pulled tight over her face. And she was holding her phone like it was radioactive. She slid into the seat across from me and said, "You should see this." She pulled up her messages. Not just texts from Ethan, voicemails, videos, screenshots of payments. For a condo she was living in. That he was paying for. The whole time we'd been engaged, Ethan had been secretly paying her rent. "But it's not what you think," she said quickly. "I thought he was just helping. He said I was in a bad place. Said I could crash there for a couple months while I got on my feet. And you sent him lingerie photos?" She looked down. "He asked for them." "Of course he did." That's when she told me the kicker. "He told me you two were on a break." I laughed. Out loud. "He said he didn't want to hurt you, that he wasn't ready to tell you it was over. But he said it was coming. He said we were gonna try again. That he was gonna fix things with me." I didn't even know what to say. I just stared at her. My blood felt like it was boiling under ice. Then she said something that stopped me cold. "I think he proposed to you to make me jealous." I just sat there stunned. "He showed me the ring before he proposed," she added. "Said he picked it with me in mind. Said he wanted me to see what I missed out on." I blinked. That was it. That was the exact moment I realized Ethan wasn't confused. He wasn't in some emotional spiral. He was weaponizing love. Everything he'd done, from the late-night "I love you"s to his carefully timed apology tour, was just another version of a power play. The next day, I canceled the wedding. That part wasn't dramatic. I just called the planner, canceled everything in one go, and let the deposits burn. But Ethan? Oh, Ethan lost it. He showed up at my apartment pounding on the door, yelling that I was throwing everything away. That I was listening to crazy people. That Rachel was lying. That Eliza was a stalker. That I was ruining his life for attention. I didn't open the door. Instead, I texted one sentence. "If you come back, I'll call the police." The pounding stopped. For 2 weeks, nothing. I got a message from his friend, Toby, the guy who hosted the engagement party at the lake house. We talked maybe once before. I almost didn't recognize the name. The message said, "Hey, I thought you should know what happened at the lake house. Ethan told everyone you were pregnant." I just stared. I messaged back, "Excuse me?" He replied, "Yeah. That's why he said the wedding was happening so fast. Said you wanted to make it official before the baby showed." Whole speech about responsibility and second chances. I don't know how long I sat there. My stomach felt like I swallowed wet cement. He was planning to trap me. Trap everyone. The proposal. The pressure. The way he gaslit me when I pushed back. It all made sense now. He told people I was pregnant so he could speed up the wedding and make himself look like a changed man who was stepping up. I wasn't even mad. I was terrified. Terrified of how easily he lied. How naturally. How convincingly. This wasn't about Rachel. Or Eliza. Or me. This was about control. The next day I changed my locks. Got my number switched. Told everyone who RSVP'd to forget they ever knew my name. Burned every dress, every photo, every trace of the wedding. He moved back in with Rachel. Or maybe it was someone else entirely. Honestly, who knows? 3 weeks after I canceled the wedding, I was finally starting to breathe again. Not fine, not healed, just breathing. You know that moment when the silence stops feeling scary and starts feeling safe? That's where I was. No flowers at the door. He showed up at my apartment last night. Said he'd made a mistake. Told me Rachel lied to him. That you poisoned his reputation. Said he'd been alone for weeks and was ready to start over. I recorded the whole thing. Just in case. He doesn't love anyone. He just circles back when the audience stops clapping. I told him to leave. But he left something behind that you should know about. Attached, one photo. It was a picture of a letter scrawled in Ethan's handwriting. The letter wasn't to Eliza, but to me. "Bree, you said once that love is showing up. I showed up for you. And I showed up for her. And her. I never meant to hurt anyone. I just didn't want to be alone. Maybe if you'd just been more understanding, things would be different. But you gave up on me. And they always give up in the end. E. I read it once. Twice. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I laughed. Because even in his goodbye, he couldn't take responsibility. It wasn't an apology. It was a memo of blame. And that's when the full weight of it hit me, not sadness, not regret, freedom. This whole time, I thought I'd lost something. Turns out I dodged something. A few weeks later, I moved into a new place. Smaller. Simpler. Mine. I changed my number again. Blocked every path he could use to reach me. Digitally wiped our shared life like it was a failed draft. And then unexpected twist number 87, Eliza texted me again. You still have that wedding dress? I replied, yeah. In a bag. Why? I know what to do with it. You in. What came next might have been the most satisfying moment of this entire disaster. Eliza, Rachel, yes, her too, Megan, and I met at the edge of this little private campground Eliza had access to. We hung the dress from a tree branch like it was a flag of surrender. Then we doused it in glitter, honey, spray paint, and some kind of biodegradable confetti Eliza swore was eco-feminist approved. We didn't burn it, we buried it. Because that's what you do with things that died long before you admitted it to yourself. We laughed so hard I nearly cried. Rachel cried for real. Megan filmed it all for posterity and deleted it right after. It was never about revenge. Just release. No ring on my finger. No unanswered questions. No ghost of a wedding that never happened.